What a headshot! What a head!
How's it guys, this is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. And on this video, I'll be taking you guys through my very own team selection for the upcoming Game Week 30. It's a little bit of a break from the doubles and the blanks, only kind of a normal, basic, single Game Week 30, but still has a lot of excitement about it. Now that excitement largely stems from the fact that Luke Shaw is currently yellow flagged, who you guys are going to captain for the upcoming Game Week 30. All these questions will be answered in this team selection. Now first, obviously I'm going to take a look at Game Week 29's double. Pretty strong game week, I won't lie to you guys. Hopefully you guys had a very successful game week as well, and the green arrows were kind on you. I'll be going over the extent of my green arrow, as well as how many points you scored in the prior game week. I'm then going to turn my attention to the transfer plan before finalizing my team selection and my captain. If that's something I was interested in, sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. So going over my double Game Week 29 team review, as you guys would have known, I bench boosted, and that explains the 136 points that we scored. It's a really good score for Game Week 29, but I've seen some massive scores. Comment down below what you guys scored. I've seen some 154 point game weeks, but it seems like everyone scored about 130 onwards. Now that game week rank was 240k, one of the best game weeks of our season, and that saw us almost halve our rank to 140k. Now in terms of the transfer plan, bottom right hand side, one free transfer and a massive 5.3 million left in the bank, but you guys pretty much know who I'm going to transfer in for this game week. But comment down below, as I mentioned, how you guys got on, where are you sitting in the overall ranks after Game Week 29, always like to see how you guys are keeping up. Now let's start off with our bench, because the bench boost was a relative success. I always say 15 points is kind of the minimum that I would expect on a bench boost, and we actually got 19. Now no, that's not the biggest bench boost of double Game Week 29. I've seen some massive benches, some 30 plus pointers, but I do think I benched my worst players for this game week. So those 4 players are going to be Raya, Kane, Saka and Henry, 2 single game week players and 2 doublers, and at least Raya got us a few save points, but I was really hoping he got one last night to take us to 20 points. We then obviously have Harry Kane and Saka, and I've already spoken about Saka, super unlucky on that front. If we got the news about his potential benching early on, I could have rather kept Odegaard, and as you guys would have seen, Odegaard got 6 points. Then finally Henry, who we thought that he wouldn't keep any clean sheets. I was hoping for maybe an odd assist or an odd goal. That wasn't the case, and he ended on 3 points. Now if you guys did watch the game last night against United, didn't really think that Brentford defended that badly, but there wasn't much creativity in their attack. So the bench scored 19 points, but the starting 11 was where the magic happened, and I started with our goalkeeper of choice, Kepa. So between Kepa and Raya, both kind of matched each other. Really nice when you guys do bench boost, when both your goalkeepers get a return, and Kepa's return was going to be that clean sheet against Liverpool. Now not too many save points were on the end for Kepa, as in the first game they lost to Aston Villa 2-0. Now if you guys did watch that Chelsea vs Liverpool game, I do want to say, probably one of the worst games that I have experienced, although I did think that Chelsea should have won that one. So Kepa didn't have too much to do, not a lot of XG was kind of produced by Liverpool in that fixture, so the clean sheet was almost locked in from about half time. But now going to the rest of our defensive department, the back 4, the 2 highest performers are going to be those Newcastle assets. Unfortunately last night lost that clean sheet to a Kurt Zouma header off a corner, otherwise it would have been 2 clean sheets in 2. Now Trippier did get an assist and also some bonus points in the first game, whereas in the second game him and Botman both got 2 points. Now if you guys did go for Fabian Schär, would have got that extra assist over a Botman, but we knew about his attacking threat before the game week. We then have a Stupinan who actually started both games after coming back from the international break, which is a little bit surprising as most people predicted him to be benched for the first one. Now that first game you guys know lost their clean sheet, but in the second one managed to keep it, although it was a little bit lucky to be honest, as their opponents actually had quite a high XG. But I'll take it at the end of the day, was just happy that he started 2 out of 2 and got us 1 return. Now unfortunately it couldn't be all good in terms of our defensive department. We had to have one kind of player that unfortunately didn't rise to the expectations, and that was going to be Luke Shaw. Now I will admit, he went off injured last night. That's something that you guys can't predict. If he stayed on the field, probably would have got a clean sheet, but that doesn't set aside the fact that we brought him in on a free transfer and he only returned 1 point. Now the player transfer out was actually going to be Gabriel, so yes, Luke Shaw actually underperformed a single game week option as he lost the clean sheet in the first game. Now after picking up a yellow card last night and then getting subbed off early, his fitness for the upcoming game week is a little bit in question. Now I'm going to continue our kind of bad free transfers into our midfield department, and the first place is going to be Bruno Fernandes and then also Rashford. So I've paired up my 2 United attackers, but in terms of Bruno, very disappointing kind of double game week for him. Always does well generally in these double game weeks, but his positioning being so far back really negated his kind of attacking threat. And because I took out Odegaard, I made a net loss on both my 2 free transfers, which just shows you that sometimes double game weeks can be overrated. Now luckily though, we did captain Marcus Rashford. He got a massive 12 points, double to 24. Not the biggest kind of campsy return, but for our own team, it was absolutely massive after seeing Matoma score quite a few in the prior day. So no goals in the first game, but a goal last night and racking up 2 bonus points at the death. Was really happy with my campsy return, or at least a double digit return from Marcus Rashford. Now we'll be captaining him in this next game week, who kinda knows, but I did think last night United didn't look as good attacking wise as I've seen them. But talking about kind of Matoma, let's go over to our next double up in the midfield department, our two Brighton midfielders, Matoma and Solly March. So I didn't own McAllister, but I think he kind of slightly outscored Solly March, but Matoma was definitely the standard option of choice. So if you guys did captain him, congrats on that one, would have captained one of the most high scoring players in double game week 29, but I opted for Marcus Rashford. Now you guys might be a little bit hurt by Solly March because in terms of XG involvement, over this double game week he had a massive XG involvement, but simply couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. Matoma though had no worries, got an assist in the second game, taking him to 14 points. Now what I will say about Brighton, and we saw this in the Ultimate Guide yesterday, their XG is massive and they're playing very good football. Now moving into our forward department, and luckily our two strikers of choice did return. The first one's be Ivan Toney with a nice 11 points. Didn't do too much last night, but I guess that was expected as United are a better defense. Always is involved though, and I thought that he had a few chances last night, but it wasn't meant to be. But the final player to go over and our final forward is going to be Ollie Watkins with a massive 17 points. So a goal against Chelsea, a goal in the second game, and a few bonus points to his name. Now if you guys did watch that second game, Ollie Watkins was actually sent off, but it was taken away after consulting VAR. So quite lucky there in terms of Ollie Watkins, as I want him for the future. He might even be our captain for upcoming Game Week 30. So overall the starting 11 did massive wonders for us except for the United assets, although Rashford kind of redeemed Luke Shaw and Bruno. As mentioned earlier on, let me know how your guys' game week went. Hopefully it was a green arrow and you're currently looking at a very nice rank. But now moving on to the actual transfer plan, and the reason I'm not giving you guys the context of my current team selection with no transfers is I do think the transfers this week are pretty set and forget. Now the first player I want to talk about is going to be Luke Shaw, and please wait for the press conference tomorrow coming up on Friday, because Ten Hag just gave us a little bit of an assessment last night and he said that they're going to have to wait and see what the doctors say. Now if you guys did watch the game, it looked like it was a hamstring strain for Luke Shaw, which could be a few weeks but might also have been a precaution. So let's hope for the latter there, and maybe Luke Shaw does feature for Everton, as if he misses this week and next week against Nottingham Forest away, I'll be quite sad. Now I want to mention Luke Shaw here because if we do get news tomorrow that he's going to be out for a long amount of time, I might actually take a hit and move him out because my other defenders this week don't have great fixtures. So I have looked at some other replacements. You could kind of go for a set swap, go for someone like a Martinez, a Dalot. Those options could be viable, but the one team I was actually focusing on was going to be Man City. So Nathan Ake and currently John Stones are the ones that I can afford, still planning my future moves at hand. Now I could also go for Ben Shaw, but unfortunately he's too expensive and then I can't do my future moves. As I said, I have planned them out. But if Luke Shaw will be only missing kind of this week or next week, I might just keep him. As you guys would have seen, United have a double in 34, so as long as he's fit for that week, I might just keep him. But obviously a big disappointment, as if he does miss the next two fixtures, those are almost locked in clean sheets in my opinion. Now this move would be for a -4 additional hit, as I do have another move in mind. Now that move you guys know about, I've spoken about it in the transfer plan, I spoke about it in last week's team selection. It's Ivan Toney out for Erling Haaland. So since we have had proof that Erling Haaland has returned to training, I think you got a video over on Twitter on about Monday or Tuesday, but I'll be waiting for what Pep says tomorrow in his press conference. If it's all positive, nothing negative, then I'm definitely going to be bringing in the Norwegian, as I can't imagine my FPL team without him, to be honest. I know it has actually looked pretty strong over these past couple game weeks, going for Ollie Watkins over Erling Haaland, but I still think I want him back in my team. Now Ivan Toney did actually escape the yellow card last night, so he's actually going to be fit for this Newcastle game, but as you would have seen, Newcastle are playing some good football and defending well at the moment. So for me, an easy switch, got 5.2 million left in the bank. I can easily do this move and still be left with a little in the bank. But I definitely will be waiting and seeing what happens on Friday. Might even get some early team news coming up on Saturday, but I doubt it. But if no price rises happen, I probably will just wait to the deadline stream. Now there were a few other moves that you guys can consider, but I think right now focusing on Erling Haaland in is probably what you want to do. So now going on to the actual Game Week 30 team selection. This is going to be the team selection if I do make the move for Erling Haaland, but I have left my transfers in my bank as it is. So if I was to actually bring in Erling Haaland, you guys would have seen this in my transfer plan, it really does leave me with a benching headache, as all of my forwards have great fixtures. Now I'm going to show you guys my bench, but please don't freak out at the current moment. I'm going to explain my thinking behind it and my logic behind it, so don't roast me too much in the comments yet. So as you guys can see, the big addition to my bench is going to be Harry Kane. Has Brighton at home, a tougher fixture on paper, although Brighton have been conceding quite a bit of XG over these past couple game weeks. Now I will explain my reasoning as I go over my defense, and once you guys see my forwards, I just feel like Brighton at home is the worst fixture out of my starters. The other options we do have is going to be Ray against Newcastle, Luke Shaw against Everton, and then finally Henry against Newcastle as well. And the one thing I want to say about Luke Shaw is that some people have been saying, actually just put him in your starting 11. If he starts the game, he starts the game. And if he is injured, he'll miss the entire thing, which I do agree with, but I just want to see what Ten Hag says tomorrow in the press conference. Now in terms of Henry, I just think that he has a bad fixture on paper. Brentford aren't keeping clean sheets at the moment, and his attacking threat hasn't been that strong. But talking about Ray, let's go over our starting goalkeeper Kepa, who I do feel like has the better fixture against Wolves away. So Wolves away versus Newcastle at home, for me it's a no-brainer there. Yes, Raya might get more save points, but I think the chance of a clean sheet is better on the Chelsea side of things. Then moving into the rest of the defensive department, I've gone for Trippier and Botman against Brentford away. Not the worst fixture in the world, especially considering the fact that I am selling Ivan Toney, so I actually do hope they don't score. Now Trippier obviously does offer us more of an attacking threat, as Botman's attacking threat is pretty non-existent. So I guess Trippier could bail us out if they do lose their clean sheet, but let's hope that the Newcastle do keep one. Now my final defender to go over, and the reason I'm actually benching Harry Kane is that I will be starting a Stupinan. Might not be the most logical thing going for a Stupinan over Kane, but what I thought about is playing my odds here, hoping that Spurs blank and Harry Kane blanks, and therefore Stupinan gets a clean sheet. Now yes, there's going to be a massive punt to go for. I would back Harry Kane every day of the week, but I just feel like this might be the game week to take a little bit of a punt to rise up the ranks. But now you guys can absolutely roast me, but wait for the attackers first, because my attack looks pretty stacked. The first double up will be those United assets, Bruno as well as Rashford, and they have Everton at home. Now, there was some concern about Bruno's positioning. Yes, he was starting kind of deep, but I feel like Everton will sit back, and therefore Bruno might get more forward. But otherwise, great fixture for United. Everton at home, they don't defend as well away from home than at home, and at Old Trafford I expect United to put on a show. The next double up is going to be our Brighton double up of Matoma and Solly March. Now if you guys are on the kind of template for Game Week 30, you'll see that most managers actually have one of their midfielders from Brighton on the bench, but I just looked at the XG and decided not to bench either of them. I just feel like Brighton are one of the most informed teams at the moment, creating so many chances. I feel like Solly March and Matoma could have scored more in double Game Week 29, and that's why I'm going to start them against the Spurs side that haven't really looked that great. But as I mentioned, in terms of the template, most managers are benching one of these assets, and therefore probably playing Harry Kane. And the last midfielder is going to be a little bit of a differential, but it still is quite highly owned within the top ranks. It's Bukayo Saka against Liverpool away. Now yes, Liverpool are better at home than away, but I feel like Arsenal's attack is too hot to handle, and I just feel like Saka has got a mini haul in him here. So I'm pretty happy that I kept Saka, and I do believe that he could score against Liverpool, and that's why he's not going anywhere in my starting 11. Now finally going off our two forwards, and this is kind of the reason that I am benching Harry Kane. It's the fact that I will be going for Erling Haaland in the transfer, and therefore I can't really bench him against Southampton away. But if I do choose to kind of not go for Haaland, keep Ivan Toney, I'll just put Kane back in my starting 11 and Ivan Toney on the bench. So in terms of Erling Haaland, I expect him to get about 60 minutes as long as he is going to be fit. I just don't think that you can throw him into kind of a Champions League game without any minutes played, and therefore even if he comes off the bench 20 to 30 minutes, he still could do some damage. Now you guys know how badly Southampton are playing at the current moment, and I think Man City are going to absolutely destroy them. But you guys can let me know what you're doing in the comments down below. Are you bringing in Erling Haaland this week? Are you not? And then you probably will hide behind the couch for that Southampton game. The last player in our team out of the best fixture going into Game Week 30, it's Ollie Watkins against Nottingham Forest at home. Now Forest over the last 6 game weeks at a minimum are the second worst defense, and Ollie Watkins is on a great scoring run of things. Aston Villa are scoring quite a few goals, Ollie Watkins is always involved, and therefore I'm really confident that he's going to be a great asset for Game Week 30. Now I'm going to pause right now and let's go on to the Campsey debate, because this is a massive game week for Campsey in my opinion. I just believe there's so many great options to look at. You've got a Rashford, you've got your Brighton assets, a Harry Kane even against Brighton at home. I'm benching him, I'm absolutely mad. But I think the main 3 for my own team are Rashford, Haaland, or going for Ollie Watkins. Now all 3 of these assets have relatively fine fixtures on paper, but I do have the Campsey armband currently on the Aston Villa striker. The reason for not going for Erling Haaland is I just feel like the fact that he won't play the majority of minutes might be a concern, and Watkins will probably play the full game. Then in terms of Rashford, didn't really like what I saw last night, didn't think that they were as free-flowing as I have seen that attack, and I believe that Everton might park the bus and make it quite hard for them. But I think all 3 are great assets to go for. Even other differentials could outperform them, but currently as I said, I've got the armband on Ollie Watkins. Let me know who you guys are captaining for this upcoming Game Week 30. Are you guys taking a massive punt going for someone like a Maddison, or are you going a little bit safer on someone like a Rashford or a Haaland? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, as well as what chances you're making for this upcoming game week. Are you even going for Haaland, or are you staying without him? Game week 30 could prove to be quite pivotal. Now my last concern obviously is going to be about the team selection. Do I actually bench Harry Kane, or do I bench a Solly March, a Bukayo Saka? That's going to be a debate I go for till the final deadline, but let's hope we get positive news on Luke Shaw, as then I'll play him over Stupinan. But big news coming up tomorrow in the press conferences, but otherwise I'll see you guys in the deadline stream coming up on Saturday. But that's the video guys, hope you did enjoy it. Don't like it, don't subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Hopefully see you guys on Saturday, and Game Week 30 is going to be yet another green arrow. But I'm going to sign off, it's Dayvy FPL and I'm out, cheers, bye.